What if I told you the breakthrough you've been chasing isn't another book, another quote, or another influencer, but it's something far deeper? What if healing, real healing, doesn't begin with you, but with God, right? Right now, in this very moment, there's a shift waiting to happen in your mind, your heart, and your life, not by your strength, but by His. Because when we surrender control, we find clarity. And when we're left with God's healing, it heals us deeply and it gives us true leadership, not just in business, but in every area of our life. So stay with us as we could go through every change together. Welcome to another episode of
Discovering Our Journey.
I'm your host, JC.
And I'm MC.
All right. So healing, I mean, it's something deep, right?
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
you can see it and you can feel it, right? What would you say is like a first good step to start with that?
Well, I feel like a lot of times for healing, one of us, we have to look at ourselves. I think that's one of the biggest things is looking at ourselves, because sometimes we don't know who we are.
Yeah.
We don't know why we're feeling certain ways. We don't know why we're going through emotions. There's so many things that are going on in our heads that we just don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel that healing doesn't come with a situation where it's like, I'm going to forgive this person for what they did, or I'm going to forgive, whether it's a spouse or a relative or a parent or whatever it is, sibling. I think that when you start working on yourself and really understanding who you are, giving yourself value, giving yourself, and of course, we always say closer to God, the better, because He will be there. But we don't see that all the time.
No.
So I feel like sometimes the steps got to start from yourself, and when you feel like you've done enough for yourself and you really need someone, then that's when He's there for you.
Yeah. And then you feel lighter, right? You feel happier when you go around that person that you had the quarrel with, or like the anger against. It's like you're less angry. When you have that feeling against that person, it's like it becomes easier. You're more calmer. You're not so like quick to,
Yeah.
And
I feel like it's something that comes natural.
Yeah.
It's not something that you're going to be like, oh my God, that person's going to be there. How am I going to feel? It's one of those things where like that person's there, you're there, and you're just like, oh, I guess I didn't even think about it. And that's when you start to realize that you're healing.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always mean that you've healed, because again, it's a long process. It's something that, it sometimes has affected us for years. It could be months. It could be, depends on the time. But the healing sometimes is there. But when you basically, it's not so much that you remove that pain, it's you replace it with, other things that are positive in your life, things that you've created, things that you have control over. Because a lot of those times when we get hurt, we have no control.
Yeah.
We have no control, or we don't know how to take control.
And that's how you see where you're emotionally like intelligent, right? When you can control those emotions.
Of course, we don't realize it, because a lot of times we're automatic.
Yeah.
We revert back sometimes to our childhood with our spouse and start acting like children. Whether a children is, you're the one that's you're aggressor, and you yell and you have blowouts and whatever and stuff like that. Or you could be that child that never saw fights, never saw something, and what's going to happen? You're going to shut down, right?
You get a lot of shut down, yeah,
You get
when
shut
you're not
down.
experienced.
So again, we don't know
Yeah.
how you're going to act, and the thing is that it's not you, but it's who you revert back to that we need to work on. Because whether you're the blow up kind or the quiet kind or whatever kind that you are, we need to work on that, and that takes time.
What are you, or what were you, or what are you working on? I know for me, I'm the blow up.
Yeah.
I blow up.
Yeah, I'm the blow up.
I blow up, especially with words. Like
Yeah.
words
Yeah.
anger me. And I'm just like, you what?
Yeah.
So that's one I had to work on really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's deep.
Yeah, definitely blow up. I was the guy that would make holes in walls and go outside and hit telephone posts till my knuckles bled. And
So you had to let it out physically.
yeah, I had to let it
Wow.
out physically. So
Yeah.
it wasn't like yelling. I don't think I think I yelled later on
Yeah.
when I was trying to control it. I thought I was trying to control it, but instead of, it was like, you cover up the one hole, but here comes another
Ah.
one. So at first, my thing was, I'd leave the situation. I would leave the house. I would be upset. I'd leave the house because I didn't want to do nothing. So I'd
Yeah.
leave the house and be hitting walls and whatever, and come back. My hands were bloody and whatever. That's how I was.
And why do you think that is though? Like what Why the physical?
I think because for me, the just the confusion of stuff, it's always a misunderstanding, right? It's
Yeah.
always understanding something differently.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
frustration of not understanding.
Yeah.
It was so overpowering. I needed something to take my mind off of that frustration, and
Yeah.
the pain in my hands would kind of like it'd be like a drug in a sense. It's like, oh, I felt better just releasing that anger. I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, you're frustrated at work and you have a long day and you go and you do some kind of physical activity, but there's positive ways to do that. It's not because of a negative thing and then make
Yeah.
it even worse. So I was doing it in a wrong way, but that releasing that still was able to subside what I was going through. And like I said, the more that I thought I was controlling it, then it would come out where I would make a hole in the wall in the house, or two or three. I think that's the most I've ever made. But it got to that point because I was trying to not leave to do that.
Yeah.
But then staying there didn't help either. And then I stopped doing that, but then I started yelling and outbursts and freaking just sitting there driving me nuts. Like I felt like a trapped animal. Like I was like, and just wanted to yell.
And are you that person that needs to resolve it like in the moment, or do you need to like take time? Because there's so many different personality types on that.
See, the thing is that I think no matter what type you are, the thing is that you need to take time.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want to take time. I wanted to understand it right there at the moment. I wanted to went through the motion and just wanted to be like, I just want to understand. But so much frustration on, understanding yourself, understanding your partner. And I think it all, like I said from the beginning, it starts with you. You have
Absolutely.
to understand yourself, figure yourself out, give yourself value, give yourself, the necessity it is to grow as a person. That's where the healing starts.
One thing that I noticed that I took from my past, like from how I grew up into my relationships, was that I could never do things right. And so when someone said I did things wrong, guess what? I blew up. I was like, oh, I did it wrong, And when I felt like I did it okay. I just didn't do it your way. Because my father was very like white glove. He was a very certain particular way to where that would make me feel like I had to defend myself, And so I had to really understand that. And what helped me to kind of stay in a good mental state, especially with my spouse, was to remember that he wasn't against me. We're supposed to be working together. Like we didn't come into this hating each other. We love each other, so we gotta share that light together.
Yeah. I think for me, it was more of no one taught me how to do nothing, so I didn't expect stuff from someone. So, yeah, when someone would question me, like, I don't think that people told me I did it the wrong way, but I would get like, oh, why did you do it that way? And it's like, well, you come up with the better way. And it's like, oh, I was very defensive, so I don't think I'd even get to the point where someone would tell me it was wrong. They would just question me. Why did you do it that way? And that's just like, ugh. I would just be like, so just with that, like you questioning the fact that I did it, it was like, it's like nobody was there to show me, so I had to do it on my own. And this
So you were frustrated.
I was more frustrated. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was really
That's
a lot of
crazy.
frustration.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. And then so now how do you get to good thinking? Like when things like that come up, what have you learned like as a tool or a skill that gets you back to like, okay, calm down, think happier thoughts?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's like we all want to be heard,
Yeah.
right? So one of the things that I do now different is that I listen more.
Slow to speak, quick to listen.
Yes. Yes. Now, the only problem is that I really do analyze a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
When I make decisions or when I make certain movements, I analyze a lot. And unfortunately now it created a different problem. So the problem is now that, I can become a little sarcastic. So I'm working on that one.
Isn't that crazy? We're always working on something.
But I'm not blowing up. I'm not whatever, what I'm saying? Not saying it's good. And again, I am working on it. Like, it's like, okay, some people don't take in consideration certain things. So they're like, why'd you do this? And I'm like, well, how would you do it? And it's like this way and that way. And it's like, well, what about that? Oh, I didn't think about that. And I was like, well, I did. It's like, so, so I'm working on that. I'm working on that to try to, people just want to help. People just want to put in, but there is some people that sometimes just want to throw dirt on you, and those are the ones.
Oh, absolutely.
Those are the ones that it's like, oh, don't be sarcastic. But it's hard because it's like
It is
It's hard
hard.
because sometimes I get people that want to throw some shade on my decisions, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's like I know why I do what I do.
Yeah.
So and people gotta but you know what I like I said I don't want to be that guy though.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy. I want to be better. I don't want to. How should I say it? Let me rephrase this. I don't want to feed off of that. Because I
Absolutely.
think that's what it is. We feed off of certain things, and I don't want to feed off of the I told you so. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I want to feel like what? Yeah. So I guess he didn't think about that, or she didn't think about that. So this is why, and be more calm about it because. Again, it's still struggling with my own frustration. It goes back to that.
Yeah.
So it's all correlated. Even though you think you fix one thing, something else pops up somewhere or something else. We're always constantly trying to be better.
You know what's funny about that is that when I was little, so like I said, father figure, white glove, so he had every way of doing it, and his way was the right way, right? So growing up, I had to learn not to get angry with that. I had to do it, do it his way. Then I became a little know-it-all myself. So during the teen years, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. And so I did reach a point where I had a very good mentor growing up, that told me, well, many of them, I had a lot of people for some reason, they saw me and it's like they would be quick to be like, I'll mentor you, without saying it, they would always be there. And I was so grateful for that. And I give that to God. I'm telling you.
I was going to say, so you saw the signs? Or you
No,
didn't
no, you see the signs when you get older.
Keep sending people. You're like, dude, why are all these people mentoring me? Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
You're still waiting for Jesus to come down himself, but he sends everybody,
That's
right?
what I'm telling you. We miss that. We miss that. But now that I'm older, like I saw it so clear. Like my coach, certain teachers, certain just friends,
Yeah.
parents of friends that just were like, they would take me under their wing and I'd be like, wow, I find it as such a blessing now. And so they taught me, to never think you know it all. Like always know that there's a better way or a new way. There's not always one way. There can be another way that's a lot easier than the way you knew. And so I grew up then changing that mindset to now, like, even though I know, they'll be like, oh, do you know how to do this? And now my response is, oh, can you show me? Maybe it's a better way.
Yeah.
So I don't come off like I know it all, but I come off like I want to be a student. Let me learn.
Oh, and trust me, I'm like that. I am definitely like that. I always tell, it's like, hey, I would love to be proven wrong. Because
Yeah.
it's not, how am I going to learn?
Yeah.
It's like, you tell me something, I don't have a problem. Like I said, the problem I have is with those people that just want to poke though. They're not trying to,
Poke the bear.
they're not trying to sit there like they got a bet. And that's the worst. That's the one where it's like, oh, okay, well, no, I'm just saying. And I'm like, no, well, you just said this was wrong. Well, give me your idea and tell me why you think that.
Yeah.
I want to hear it. I want to grow. But then that person is like, no, I'm just saying maybe you can find a different way. Well, don't say that and you don't got a different way. So God, give me more.
Give me strength,
Give me
God.
strength. No. I can't ask for strength.
Yeah.
No, you know what
Why?
happens, right?
Why?
I always ask God, give me peace. Because if you give me strength, I'm going to kick his butt. It's someone else actually told me one time. It said something about the kids. They said, God, give me strength he said, God, I ask you for peace. If I get,
Yeah,
I ask
you don't
for-
ever want to ask for patience.
Yeah,
That's what I heard. Don't ever
not
ask for patience.
No, peace.
Peace.
Yes. And that's another thing. Don't ask for patience, ask for peace.
Yeah.
So I asked God for peace. Don't give me strength. 'Cause I'm going to kick these kids' ass or something like that. It was like, it was just something that the person said, and I've reflected on it. That's right. You got to give me peace.
Yeah.
Don't give me strength. I'm going to beat someone up or something.
Yeah. No.
But
it's
yeah,
true.
I that's what I want. I want peace and stuff, and dealing with those people that just are being ignorant,
Yes.
and not put myself to their level. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because I learned that I did hurt some people that weren't being ignorant because of my frustration, my attitude. And that I've been working on and I want to continue working on.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And one thing I've noticed too, and why it's so important as we're talking about healing, is we're getting together now with a bunch of guests who have like small businesses and everything. And a lot of the questions are always similar because we want to know where they started. And a lot of times where we started is where we our environment was the most spent. And I believe that's with our family, right? And then obviously school with friends. But a lot of those hurts, we anchor onto them and we don't let them go. And it's hard. and it's hard. So in this show, as we're moving forward, you're going to see a lot of always asking, like, so what generation are you in? Because we want to make sure that we understand that on this platform there's always growth. We're always ending that there's no growth without pain, because you always learn something new, right? And just like you learned, I got here, but now I got to practice this, what I've learned from there.
It's a new obstacle.
New obstacle.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is that we're always constantly growing, and we're always constantly evolving. We're constantly growing. And then when you have a spouse, we're feeding off of each other, good and bad
Oh my
ways.
gosh, ain't that the truth?
So it's like there's no real way to be like, it's always a constant movement. That's why, they say that there's no such thing as a perfect marriage. But to me, the perfect marriage is the one that you keep working at.
Absolutely.
That's
but
the-
but
that's
that's
the
why this show is so important. Before you get married, look at what you're marrying. Look under the hood, because marriage is a covenant that you're making. You're making this contract with, not just for each other, but before God. You are the one that sees that you're not evenly yoked. There are many flags, many signs. That's why when you guys get married, you guys meet family.
And you know what? One of the things you said, like, there's many flags. There's always going to be flags. though.
Always.
Always going to be flags. The thing about it is that I feel that we as individuals, when we're going to get with somebody, we really have to understand those flags and be willing to pick those flags up and say,
Yes.
this is a flag I can work with.
Yes.
This is a flag I can work with. Ooh, I don't know about this one. This is going to be a toughie. And you got to address those flags that you don't feel you have the strength, because we don't all, it's almost like if you're dependent, and then you get with someone who's, codependent, then it's like you can kind of work with each other, but in a wrong direction.
Yeah.
Right? You're with someone because you feel like you don't want to be alone. And that person wants someone that they can just kind of boss around or do whatever they want. And they take advantage of the fact that you feel like you need them. Then it's one of those codependencies that it's like a vicious circle that's not going to end if you don't, do something.
That's interesting you say that, though. I agree with you, I think, until a point, because we are all unperfect, right? And so when you do find someone and you guys are good, you should have your top 5, or at least like the most important. There's a priority, especially when you have religion, family. When you have religion, it's like, do they have that same mindset? Because that's huge.
Yeah.
No matter what, you're never going to, your partner is going to change. You're going to change. You guys just have to grow together.
I mean, right now you just said something very important that actually we were having a discussion just not that long ago, that, we had 2 different individuals that we know of, a young couple getting married, and, one of the couples said, my spouse is Catholic. So I'm going to become Catholic because I want her to be happy.
So she's converting for him.
No, he's converting
Oh,
for her.
he's converting for her. Wow.
And
Okay.
but the answer was because I want her to be happy.
Oh, so is the heart really there?
And it's a tough one though.
Eesh.
Here's the thing though. I feel that I know this person very well, and the person's heart is there.
Yeah.
And I get that he's not saying it to say like, she wants to do it. So he's excited about this journey that he's about to take on with his new wife.
Oh, then that's a good mindset to have, right?
But I really think that when it comes to religion though, I think you have to find the love in religion, and and hope that you find the love and you're able to take that step.
Absolutely.
Don't go into it like, like, I'm going to do this for her and we're going to be happy. And I know that he might think it's positive,
Yeah.
but it really isn't.
Yeah.
It's not positive, because the ramification of if something were to happen, that's where it's going to be a boosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there's something that he doesn't like or doesn't feel comfortable, doesn't want to do whatever, I don't know. It's just going to be like, well, I did it for you. That's because that's how he started. The possibility of that is big.
It is.
And I've had
And that's wisdom. What you're saying there is wisdom. And it's always easier, I think, as an outsider looking in, to be able to see that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, right?
now the tougher ones is, again, another couple. They said, he said, I want to do this. He took the initiative
Yeah.
to do it. Now, deep inside, I feel like that person also did it for the other person. And, and how other situations have come out. And the reason I say this is because when the other person, let's just say the other person, something happens, stops going to church, whatever, then all of a sudden that person doesn't go. So it's like, what did you do it for? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if you're going to do it, if you're going to go and do it and convert, it's because it's for you.
Yeah.
And you're going to share it together as a beautiful thing. But don't go and do it for somebody else and then not put in that work, because again, this isn't a game. Religion is one of those things where it's like, don't say you're just in it and you're just showing up just because, that's the day that they're going to bless you or they're going to do something special, whatever. It's like, come on, guys.
And then it worsens when we bring kids into it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's I've been there. Religiosity, guys. But I think that's important, right? Having those. I did find a little metaphor here about a garden. I'm all about gardening, right? And this is about pretty much imagine your heart and mind are like a small garden with a tiny plant inside. Okay.
Yeah.
So when hurt or sadness comes, that's weeds in your garden, right? Sometimes little things like worries, sadness, or mistakes are like weeds. They take up space and stop our plant, our happy thoughts and our feelings from growing strong. How true is that?
Mm-hmm.
And then when we ask God to help, which is watering with goodness, right? Praying and talking about good things is like watering the plant with fresh, clean water. Each time we ask God to help us, it's like giving our garden something good so that the plant can grow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then when we practice good thoughts, as we we're talking about here, that is like our sunlight of kindness. And so thinking kind thoughts like I'm learning, or I can try again, or God loves me, it's like letting sunshine in, and it helps our plant to get bigger even when the weather isn't perfect. So I thought that was really good. And then when we grow, not perfectly, but gently, new leaves pushing through, right? That's what we see. At first, the plant might just have 2 little leaves, but then soon more leaves grow, sometimes crooked, sometimes a bit slow, but that's okay. Each new leaf shows that healing is happening, not because you're perfect, but because you're trying and God is helping, and others will notice and they will gravitate to your garden, right? That's where you can see the change. Others want to be a part of that. It's funny because we touched a lot of that with Kat, remember in the last episode? Mm-hmm. Which I thought was interesting.
I mean, you just said the key word, about your garden, where it's how much tending do you have to do to it?
Yes. Yeah.
How much tending? Because it's not just about the weeds.
Yeah.
It's about the bugs. It's about the weather.
Yeah.
It's about maybe your dog wants to jump up on your plant. So
stomp it out.
Yes. So there's a lot of work to do. And a lot of people will sit there and they'll pray for it, which is nothing wrong with prayer, but it's a 2-part situation, which you got to pray, but you got to do the work.
You got to do the work.
You got to do the work.
And
if you don't know how to do the work, I mean, that's why we're here, guys.
Yeah.
That's why we're here. You don't know how to do the work. We're sharing with you, telling you how we've done the work, how we continue to do the work, how I continue to go through my struggles and the new, things that come out that I have to work on. There's so much of work to do. It's not even funny. So that's the whole thing. You don't know. You know what? A lot of people say, well, you know what? I wasn't taught. I didn't know. I didn't know how to, whatever. You know what? Here's the thing. Those who don't seek won't learn.
That's right.
So if you don't know how, there's a lot of information out there to look up. There's a lot of things to do. Don't just sit there and just pray to God, because he might be sending you this video right now.
Right.
I don't know. You might be watching this telling yourself, I was just thinking about that. You don't know. But we're here for you. And there's a lot of signs that God will be sending your way. You just got to open your eyes and pick those up.
Absolutely. I love that. And so don't strive for perfection, right? We'll never reach it.
Process.
And you can't change anybody. So always go in asking the right questions, looking at the right flags, right? So that you can indicate, not even in your relationship, but also in your friendship circle.
Oh, Definitely. I mean, it's that one's a little tougher. And again, you could pick up a lot more red flags from friends, but it's one of those things where you do have to, if a friend likes to drink a lot and you're just not into drinking, well, then, you have to know how to, with that friend, maybe I don't go out to the bars with that friend because this person doesn't know how to drink, drinks too much, and I don't like that. But that friend could be a good friend when you have barbecues or something more family related.
Absolutely.
Your kids might get along, whatever. So you have to know, what your friends' flags are. So, you set boundaries, you set guidelines to be able to still enjoy them because we're all still people trying to grow and be better. And you might be the friend that person needs in his life.
Absolutely.
You might be like, I don't need him. It's like, or I don't need her. It's like, man, she's a little toxic or whatever you want to think. But you know what? Maybe that person needs you.
Yeah.
So you try to be the best friend, but you got to make sure you don't put yourself in those situations.
And if I could leave you guys off with anything personally that I went through is don't be so quick to get passionate and to hurt feelings, right? Like everything hurt my feelings, because they didn't see it my way. So if I can leave a nugget for anyone out there, something that I had to learn the really hard way is just don't get defensive to really when someone doesn't understand you or you're not understanding them, don't hold on to it too tight.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, defense is an automatic, mechanism that we have that it's like, and that sometimes it's what exposes our hurts that we have to go through in life and stuff. So that defensiveness of how you react is really tells a lot of you, of how you deal with the stress, anxiety, whatever it is, so it's just one of those things where you need it, it's easier said than done.
Always easier said than done.
Always easier said than done. But definitely, you want to work on yourself.
Yep.
You have to ask yourself, was that really me? After a certain argument or discussion, could I have done something different? Again, forget about the other person.
And a lot of times the answer is yes.
I know. And that's the thing. We can always do things better. And again, it's about asking yourself, don't worry about the other person. The other person needs to worry about themselves. We can only work on ourselves. We can't change anybody else. We can't talk for anybody else. That's the point. We have to work on ourselves. And that's where the healing starts.
Absolutely. So remember,
there's no growth
without pain. Until next time.
Until next time, guys.